Okay, so you're looking at the first confirmed outputs from GPT-5, not the chatbot arena version, but actual GPT-5 via API. And this model is really good, especially when it comes to coding. It can generate visuals that I haven't seen from any other model. It can generate professional websites, even can solve complex Rubik cubes that only a few models can solve. And the best part, this model can also solve mathematics Olympiad level questions. But it's not without any issues. We're going to talk about some of those later in the video. But one thing we will notice out of the box is that the quality of visuals this model can generate are definitely much better than anything else that we have seen so far, at least based on my tests. So this is a quick visual from GPT-5. Now for the same prompt, Opus 4 generates this, which is a reasonably good output. However, I personally think that there is a lot more clarity in the output from GPT-5. Okay, so GPT-5 is a multimodal model. I have access through the API. It's a reasoning model. You can set reasoning efforts low, medium, high, very similar to O3. It can accept images as an input. I'm not sure about videos yet. Can generate images as well, but I'm not sure whether those are native image generation similar to GPT-4 or it's using DALL-E 3 or O4 in the backend. But let's talk about some of the capabilities and very interesting things that I noticed. So in here, I used a simple prompt to ask it to generate a website featuring the 25 legendary Pokemon. And I must say, it generated a website which is visually appealing and the website is completely functional. So for example, without asking, it added this button to switch between dark and light themes, which is a very nice touch. And all of the other elements within the website works as well. So for example, you can bookmark some of these, which is a neat feature. Now, there are some tells. You can look at the website and you can say that it's AI generated. So for example, this theme button, I would expect to be either here or here, right? It's misplaced. And the reason is it was generating it based on simple text prompt. If I tell it there are some issues with the orientation, it could fix it. Now, here is another output for a website, which is probably the best output I have seen for this prompt. Now, again, it added this toggle between dark and light mode. You can switch between these. Overall, it looks really nice. However, you're going to notice some very interesting things. So for example, these FAQs, they are out of margins. You would expect them to be within the margins, but this is a single shot, right? So you can easily iterate on it. And in the next iteration, it could fix those without issues. Again, it added these really nice animations with card flips. But with this card, you can again see the text is also upside down. Now, for a website like this, I do want to highlight something. So here is the actual prompt that was used to get that specific output. So don't expect magic for very simple prompts, or you have to provide highly detailed prompts. The good thing is GPT-5 actually sticks to the instructions that you provide, and it follows prompts very closely, which is great because these models can generate some really nice outputs, but they're going to start making things up. And you don't want that. You want these models to follow your own instructions. Now, another interesting capability when it comes to instruction following, it can generate some very detailed visuals. So the output that you just saw is based on this prompt. Essentially, the quality of output that you get is dependent on the quality of your prompt. And the output is pretty awesome. So you can actually reset it, you can increase the speed. Now, there are quite a few people who have tested the same prompt on different models. Here are the outputs for the same prompt on a number of different models that OpenAI was testing on LM Arena leaderboard. You would randomly get one of these models, and you can see the output that we get is much better. So this is based on Peter, who ran the same prompt through these models. And the prompt that I'm testing is from Feature Crew. They have a very nice YouTube channel. It's worth checking out. I'm going to put the link in the description. But one thing which I do want to highlight is you probably have seen variation of nectarine I think they were testing multiple different versions, and it seems like OpenAI was trying to do benchmarking. We're going to see what the final benchmarks looks like. But here's another prompt that I found on X. Again, for the same prompt, the other models not even come close, right? So it does seem to be very creative when it is creating these visuals. Here's my go-to prompt when I'm testing LLMs. This is a much more complex version of a bouncing ball within a hexagon, and this model nails it. GPT-5 is really good. I think it's probably one of the best coding models that OpenAI has ever released, and especially for this prompt, the outputs that you get are a lot more realistic in the bouncing balls, and even the height at which the ball goes and then come down. Now, I also tested this on relatively more complex prompts. So here, this is a Rubik cube vision simulation. So it's a simulator that I tried to create with GPT-5. So for solution, it's using Kuchamba's algorithm. It's a well-known algorithm. I think the only other model is Gemini 2.5 Pro that Matthew Berman tested on the same problem, and seems like that was the one that got it right. Now let's scramble it. I wanted to run these tests. Usually it's able to solve it without any issues, but I have seen a couple of times that it runs into issues. So here's a real-time version, and actually it didn't solve it. Okay, that's interesting. So I'm going to try it one more time to see whether we get a solution or not. Okay, so it's trying, and seems again it's not able to solve it. This is different than what I was observing before. Let me actually reload. Let's go back. All right, let's see. Now, one thing which you will notice with this specific rendering is that sometimes it's not able to render some of the blocks, but seems like it's just a rendering issue than actually problem with the simulator. Yeah, so this time I think it was able to solve it. So let's do it one more time just to make sure. So it seems like the initial conditions do matter. So the 2 times that it didn't solve it, I didn't refresh the page. So we're going to refresh the page. Reset doesn't seem to be working. And let's test it one more time. Okay, so again, this time no issues at all, right? So I would say out of the 3 that we tested, or maybe out of the 4 that we tested, it got it right 2 times. It got it wrong. So we're going to do it one more time. Okay, so that's the scrambling, and okay, seems to be on the right track. Okay, yeah, so it was able to do it this time. Now, going back to the reasoning effort that you can set, so you can set it to high, right? And sometimes for complex issues or tasks, it will take longer. So a quick example is this problem from the recently conducting International Mathematics Olympiad. So if you recall, both OpenAI and DeepMind got 5 out of 6 problems using their models. OpenAI was saying that they have an experimental journal model that's able to solve 5 out of 6. Now, this is not supposed to be that model, but I picked one of the problems from the same problem set, and I gave it to GPT. It took, I think, about 10 minutes, and it came up with the right final solution. So it's the same answer that is in the official solution. I didn't go through the whole proof, so I'm not sure whether the proof is right or not, but this is probably one of the few models that I have seen is able to solve that problem, or at least get the final answer right. But that's not always the case. So since this is supposed to be a reasoning model, I actually specifically wanted to test its reasoning capabilities. And for that, I usually use this misguided attention dataset. So the idea here is very simple. If a model has truly reasoning capabilities, then it should be able to use logical deductions to reach a conclusion. Now, there are these well-known thought experiments, riddles, or paradoxes, which these models have seen a lot of times in their training data. The question is, if you were to change wording of these well-known thought experiments, will the model actually focus on the modified word of the question, or it's going to go back and simply look at its training data and try to answer it? So in order to test this, I picked one of the problems that every LLM that I have tested so far has trouble with. And the problem is a farmer is on one side of the river and he has a wolf, goat, and cabbage. You have probably seen this. The only slight modification is how can the farmer transfer the goat across the river without it being eaten, right? So we don't care about wolf and cabbage at all. We only want to transfer the goat. Now I have run this previously, but we're going to test it right now because I think this one doesn't take too long. So we're going to set it on high reasoning effort. We'll send the prompt and let's wait for the output. In the previous iterations that it ran a couple of times, it always gets the answer wrong. So let's see what happens now. Okay, so first we can look at the reasoning process. So it says addressing the puzzle. This is asking about the wolf, goat, cabbage puzzle. So I feel like interesting. It says since they have asked twice for a solution, it's clear they want step-by-step breakdown. I did not ask this question before in this chat session, so that's an interesting observation. Anyways, so it thinks it's the normal version, and basically gives us the solution here, and I think here's the final output. So it says here's one safe sequence. So take the goat, come back alone, take the wolf, bring the goat back, take the cabbage across, right? This way the wolf is never left alone with the goat and the goat is never left alone with the cabbage. We are not interested in the other two items. The only focus was supposed to be on the goat. But let's see, do you see any issues with your solution? Okay, so in the previous case, when I specifically asked it, what is wrong with your solution? So it was able to figure out the proper wording that we had. Actually, this is the subsequent question that I used. Can you read the statement again and tell me what's wrong with your solution? So in this case, it says, you're right, I solved the full move all three across puzzle, but your question only asked how to get the goat across safe. And then it says, just take it on the other side. I don't have to worry about the wolf and the cabbage. Okay, so the final response this time is, no, there is no issue with the 7-step sequence. It's standard correct solution that never leaves wolf with goat and goat with cabbage, right? If your only goal was just to get goat safely across once, you could stop after this. Seems like a little nudge really made it think that the user might be asking about simply taking the goat across, but it still decided to give us the whole solution. All right, so some final thoughts after testing this model for a while. So it's definitely one of the best model from OpenAI that we have seen. On my limited tests, it seems to be better than Sonnet 4 when it comes to visualizations. I haven't thoroughly tested it on agentic coding, so I can't really say anything about that. I think the community will figure that out pretty soon. Seems like Cursor was testing it as an agent in early preview, so we're going to see how good that model is. Now, when the model gets released, we probably are going to see a lot of people talking about its AGI. It's nowhere close, so don't worry about that. I think we have seen these hype cycles around GPT-4, and probably we're going to see it around GPT-5 as well. Is it a step up that we saw from GPT 3.5 to 4? I think so, especially for coding. For other things, we're going to see based on the feedback that the community gets after a couple of weeks of usage. So never pay attention to the first week. It's usually all hype up anyways. But do let me know what your experience is with this model. Anyways, I hope you found this video useful. Thanks for watching, and as always, see you in the next one.